Good afternoon, Happy New Year. This is a practice to relieve stress and also practice a mudra. And in the year of 2022, I'm going to direct my yoga studies towards the use of mudra and other techniques while also incorporating various aspects of what gives me joy in life and nourishes my soul. So with that being said, the mudra we're going to practice today is called Kalesvara Mudra. And Kalesvara is a deity that they said is the creator of time. I wasn't able to find any other research on this deity. I haven't looked at the ancient texts yet. That takes some time to do, but I am going to investigate that over the month. And the purpose of this mudra, and the reason I chose it, was to increase my memory and my concentration. In the past 2 years, the pandemic and definitely experiences externally and internally have kept me from being able to really focus my mind on my work and on things that are important to me. And so this is a mudra for that. And the mudra is simply made by placing the middle fingers together and taking the index fingers and placing the knuckles together, and then placing the thumbs together. The other two fingers, your ring finger and your pinky, are going to just go down naturally. When I first practiced this mudra, I pressed the knuckles together too and created quite a bind. So I would invite you to just press the front knuckles together. The thumb we're going to use in various positions, but in the tradition of the mudra, you press it towards your heart. And we'll be using that mudra creatively to explore our internal dialogue and practice some of the processes that help us be mindful and present in the moment, even when the moment's challenging, which makes it a practice for the new year. Since 2020 and 2021 were probably collectively challenging for all of us, I felt like this would be a good way to go into the new year. So without much ado, I'll be joined with my beautiful, wonderful partner, Fred Altensey, who's making faces at me right now. He's going to play music for me. But I find this practice wonderful. So if you are interested in more information, please check out my blog and also the text that is included in this video when it posts. Let's bring our hands together, rub them together. We're going to create a little friction here. Today I invite you to use the language of NVC to explore your limits and also opportunities that present themselves to change that internal dialogue or support yourself in an internal dialogue in our best and highest interest. Bringing it to the heart center. Let's take a deep breath in. And exhale. As you inhale, I invite you to feel the shoulders roll back and down. The chest lifts up into the thumbs. The crown of the head reaches towards the sky. Feel that light expansion on the inhale. And as you exhale, feel where you're connected to the roots, to your roots and to the earth. For me, sometimes I have to sigh it out just to feel that connection, that heaviness, that earth and gravity beneath me. So let's take a couple of breaths here in as we inhale and expand our space and our awareness. And exhaling, feeling our roots. Take a deep breath in, bring the hands to the third eye. Set your attention on the class in your highest good, and I invite you to take a moment here to just feel the space, the change in breath as you bring your hands to the third eye. Again, I invite you to relax your shoulders down, stack the vertebrae, tilting the head just gently, applying just a little pressure on the third eye. Continue the breath work. keep the breath even. Take some gentle breaths in and out, and maybe increase the space between the inhale and the exhale. And then keeping that same awareness, bring the hands overhead. You can open the eyes for this one if you wish. We're going to press the hands together overhead, and we're going to keep those same intentions. Inhaling, feeling the space here. Expanding into the universe, stacking the vertebrae. Exhaling, allowing the shoulders to roll down. Feel the quality of your breath here. Any feelings that may arise. And any requests to yourself or to the universe that you can grant yourself. Make micro adjustments to stay comfortable. And then inhale, stretch the hands up nice and tall. Lengthen up, feel the shoulders roll down. Feel an expansion and a decompression of the spine as you lift, and a rootedness to your sits bones and to any place that's touching the floor here, maybe even to what you hear in your environment. And on the next exhale, swing the hands down beside you and touch the earth. Take a couple of deep breaths in here, maybe expressing any need by rolling the neck. That's where I carry my attention. Maybe you have to adjust your legs here. Feel the ground very firmly. Remembering there is no right or wrong way, only a compassionate way to speak to yourself. Take a nice deep breath in, and we're going to move on. We're going to warm up the spine a little bit. We're going to warm it up with the idea that we're going to be moving in several positions. So I'm going to invite you to think of the contraction and the rootedness on the inhale and the exhale in all of our practice. We're going to do a little experiment first. So you'll stand onto your feet for this one. And your feet about hip width apart. You may not be able to see the full scene, but you'll get the idea with the words. So we're going to have a nice, easy stance, and then I want you to pretend you're at the playground, and you're going to play on a monkey bar, and you're going to hang on, or if you go to the gym, a pull-up bar. So, you know, it's a bar that goes across, so your hand has to either grab it overhand or underhand. So we're going to pretend like we're grabbing it overhand here. So we're going to know that our feet are rooted and safe because we're on the floor. We're going to stretch up like we're holding onto that bar and hanging. And whatever you have to do to experience this. Here I like to express it in the legs and hold the legs steady so I can feel that decompression in my spine. And I'm going to let one arm drop. So in this case, let's let the right arm drop, and we're hanging from that bar. Take a deep breath in, look up at your hand. Exhale. Inhale, stretch up a little taller, pull the shoulder down, but engage in that bar. Let your body hang. And then just begin to move a little bit side to side. Remember, your feet might be up if you were hanging the bar. You're not going to be able to turn very far. And then we're going to turn it to the left and hold there. And then draw that shoulder down. Lift the arm up. Let your body hang. Maybe let the arm swing. You're just swinging there. Feel what you feel. Observe what you see. Make micro adjustments if you feel pain. Bring your focus to the breath. Close your eyes if you need to. And then we're going to turn it in the opposite direction. Now this one's a little challenging because if we're going to twist on the bar, we'd probably have to change our grip, and that would call for something else. But I want you to feel your shoulder, how your shoulder has to work here, even though you're not even holding yourself up in this position. Breathe and observe here. What micro adjustments can you make here to make this as easy and flowing as it would be for a child to hang on the bar? And then inhale to bring it back to center. Reach both arms up. Inhale, take a forward dive forward. Let your body hang. And here, if you want, clasp the elbows, widen the feet a little bit, and swing side to side. When you're ready, gently and slowly roll up, or you can walk up your legs, either way. Shake out any way that you need to, and then we're going to return to the other side. So a nice stance underneath the bar. We're going to lift that right arm up. We're going to hold onto the bar, and we're going to pull that arm down and that shoulder down. So we're going to engage like we're hanging from a bar and find that space that we create in our upper body when we're hanging. In our lower body, we're going to just let it hang so that we can feel that decompression of our spine from the hips on up, all the way to the neck and spine. Let the other hand hang a little bit. Inhale, look up at the hands, stretch a little further and hang a little heavier. And then exhale and bring your head in, and we're going to rotate, to the right first, the harder side. So we're rotating and hanging, finding ease here, making those micro adjustments, deepening the breath, maybe finding where we're holding. And then on the next inhale, take a deep breath in, hold. And as you exhale, rotate in the opposite direction, like you're going to be doing little turns side to side, and hold there. Again, if you were just hanging here, you might be just gently circling around. So you can let your body be informed by that movement too, but feel the spine decompress here. And when you're ready, on the next exhale, come back to center, reach the right arm, left arm up, stand nice and tall, and exhale, dive down. Let your head shake, no. And your head shake, yes. Give your support on the floor, on your shins, and inhale to lengthen out. Exhale to fold, and roll up slowly, one vertebrae at a time. So we're going to take that concept to warm up our back, and we're going to warm up by just letting ourselves release. So we're going to take our feet really wide and bend down. So you're in a squat position. My legs are very sore from working out because it is the beginning of the new year. So we're going to be in that squat position, and I'm giving myself support. But what I want to do is take myself from this straight position to the floor and release. And I'm going to come back up to a straight position and then back down to the floor, releasing. So it's almost like someone's knocked me in the stomach and I fall. But I'm going to keep my legs fixed to keep the range of motion in my back very short. So we want to keep the arch out of the back when we do this. Take a deep breath in, inhale, exhale, and drop. Coming back up, inhale, exhale, and drop. Coming back up, inhale, and think of expansion. Hold this breath here for a second. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale again. Exhale through the mouth. Feel the rootedness in the feet. Inhale through the mouth, and next time when you exhale, feel the rootedness. Exhale and drop. Inhale. Exhale and drop. We're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time, and then come back to a seated position. So I have a cushion today to sit on to be comfortable, since this is mostly the mudra, but we will be doing a little bit more back work too, as movement does heal, and it's also a great way to work on breath while keeping the body active. So in this position, we're going to do the mudra for the first time, and we're going to have our thumbs pressing against our heart. And I use this as a reminder that I want to come from my heart. I want to give from my heart, and that's where I'm coming from, and I want to receive love that way too, from myself and others. So this is a a practice reminder that that is my nature. That this is why I feel I'm on earth. So we put the thumbs and the middle finger together, the knuckles of the index finger, the two knuckles of the index finger together, and we curl the other lightly down, letting them fall to the ground in that release. The rest is very active. I'm going to take this thumb that's pointing towards my heart, and I'm going to place it on my sternum so I can feel it. Not too hard, just where I can feel it. And then I'm going to begin to take 10 slow breaths, and at the end of 10 slow breaths, I'm going to change the position again. On these breaths, we're increasing the breath space between the inhale and the exhale with our awareness only on the breath. My focus is looking down through my chin at my heart. That's my gaze. And we begin with an inhale. Inhale long and slow, hold the breath for a moment, and then exhale, hold the breath for a moment, and begin again for 10 rounds, increasing the pause between each breath. Looking down through the chin, down through the roof of the mouth, at the heart, at the heart. As you reach your 10th breath, let the hands relax. You can let them come to the knees and be a mudra or any posture that feels good to you. Take a couple of breaths in here. Bring your gaze from the heart to the third eye. And then turn the hands over on the knees if they're not already there. We're going to make little circles. So we're going to inhale and move around. On the forward, we inhale, and the round back, we exhale, inhaling and exhaling. And we're really moving our rib cage laterally. Though it feels like we're going up and down, we're actually moving around our body in space, which is going to limit my range of motion. And here I'm going to the left first, anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, and then I'll go to the right. It's okay if you do it a different way. This is one of the parts of tantric that I really enjoy, is going to the left first. And when I observe this posture, using the language of NVC, that process of observing, the feeling of calmness and comfort comes when I start going to the left first. Maybe it's the familiarity with the practice, not judging it or attaching to it. I know that if I'm in a place of pain, that I can make it smaller, I can cease it, I can move it the other way. So let's go ahead and do that. And here in this moment, I feel present. Without any need to do anything more other than hold it. In this way, we use movement to help navigate those areas of life that can be challenging. We find our center by practicing moving around ourselves and with other people. So I appreciate you being here today with us. And as you come forward, let's take a deep breath in. So we're going to inhale here. As we exhale, we are going to round back. So bring a big round to the back, drop the chin, maybe bring the knees up. And then inhaling, coming back to center. So we have one more exercise to warm up our spine, and then we'll do the mudra again with a different focus. So on this one, I want you to feel expansion on the inhale, and that expansion is going to extend beyond our body. We've been practicing this in December, but if you're new to this practice, on the inhale, we're expanding into our space. Also want to feel that really delicious decompression in my spine as I want to create space between the vertebrae. So I'm going to do cat and cow here. And I'm going to avoid lateral movement for right now, just focusing on going forward and back with it or up and down with it. So inhale and lengthen. Feel that expansion. Exhale and contract. Feel your rootedness. Press against the earth. Feel that rootedness, but also the lightness that comes with the inhale. So inhale. Feel a lightness and an expansion outward. And exhale, feel your groundedness that allows you to go within safety. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. Let's inhale and take this one up and hold. Bring your awareness to your third eye. Maybe look down at the tip of your nose. Feel that space as you look down at the nose. Feel the space at your third eye. And then observe the quality of your inhale and exhale here. Make micro adjustments as you need. Allow your body to give requests. If you need to come out of the posture, please do. Inhale, and as you exhale, go ahead and round the spine. Close the eyes here. Again, you're going to let the brain drop to the top of the head and down into the floor. You can still be looking down the tip of your nose, but your eyes are closed. Your focus is still at the third eye. You can feel that space there, as well as the space behind your back. Take some long, deep breaths in here and expand that space. When you're ready, inhale and come to a neutral position, and then exhale and take child's pose for a moment. When you're ready, you're going to come up to a seated position for the second part of the mudra, where we investigate or experience our space with the mudra at the third eye. So we're going to press gently on the third eye. This is a reminder to me that concentration and memory are built out of practice, and that makes us automatic, so that when we go out into the world, we can be automatic in those loving responses that we gave to ourselves without judgment, we can give those same things to others, or we can hold them as they discover their gifts as well. So we're going to again take the middle finger and the thumb together, the index finger, the two knuckles. We're going to let the other two relax. I tell myself that because that's very important to stress, is to learning how to relax, to expand and contract. And we're going to take that thumb and we're going to press it gently on the third eye. So as we do this, we're going to just close our eyes, and I am going to take my focus with my eyes to my nose, to the tip of my nose, but I'm going to feel that space that is my third eye right here. And I'm going to go back into the breath again, and we're going to be building 10 breaths in this posture, observing what we feel, identifying it, and making micro adjustments how we need, in any way that we need. So we begin, broaden the shoulders. So take a deep breath in and pull the chest up. Now exhale like you want to expand your back. Inhale, bring the chest up. Exhale, expand the back. So feel that gentle expansion in front and the gentle expansion in back. Soften it a little bit as you go into your breath. Focus down at the tip of the nose with the eyes closed. The thumbs are at the third eye in the mudra. And we begin. When you've taken your 10th breath, again, let the hands rest on top of the knees. Thumbs are in Gya Mudra. Close your eyes for a moment and just let that internalize. Observe. Let feelings arise. Identify them. Address your needs. Make a request to yourself. Hold yourself in love and compassion. Rest on top of the knees, and now we're going to continue building that energy up. So we're going to do chest lifts. So we're going to take the hands to the shins actually, and we're going to lift the chest up and then drop it back. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. And hold. Exhale and release. Bringing the hands to the shoulders. So remember our exercise at the beginning of the class where we're we're holding on, we want to limit our range of motion on this and conserve our energy. So we want to focus on a smaller movement without pain, and over time this will grow. Your range of motion will grow as we express this in future practices. So we're going to take our hands on the shoulders. So the fingertips are like on the shoulders with the thumbs back, and like I think it took me like 2 years to get this range of motion, and it was only after I stopped CrossFit because I had some stretch in my triceps. So we're trying to get our fingers there, and that in itself is a mudra right there. Touching yourself on your shoulders, that is pretty challenging and pretty empowering too when you're able to do it. And if you're not, it's a great lesson for perseverance and practice. It's not always achievable with our body types to do the things that people demonstrate in yoga, and this is a way of exploring what adjustments you need to make on our road to concentration and focus in the new year. Take a deep breath in here. We're going to rotate opposite knee. You're going to inhale to the left. I'm going right in the camera. Looks right. And exhale to the right. So it's inhale left, exhale right. And it's a very small range of motion. So remember that bar that we were holding on when you turn. You want to keep the structure of your body intact and engage and be active in it rather than swinging. Sometimes we do it with a swing. But today we're going to do it with a conscious awareness. Close your eyes, or you can take to the nose, to the third nose. That one right there. And we're going to begin. Inhaling left, exhaling right. Inhale to the center. Hold the breath. Pull up on the root lock, the sex organs, the anus, pull in on the lower abs. Tuck the chin slightly. Retain the breath. And exhale to release. Again, just noticing what you feel here and responding to that request that you have of your body. So maybe more neck circles. Maybe you're moving from the cross-legged position to something that feels more comfortable. Maybe taking the head in a different direction or letting it linger on one side before rolling it to the other side. And then perhaps to the front again. And to inhale and come up. So the last exercise is a bit of a challenge, and we're going to do one physical asana that you're familiar with, downward dog. So downward dog forces us to engage both in the heart, so we have to really keep an equilibrium between the expansion and the rooting, to stay equanimous in that posture, but it also taxes our mind because it's a fairly simple posture. It does require some strength. There's a million ways to modify it. So we're going to stay in this posture for quite some time. We're going to be here for about a minute, and you're going to notice some qualities of your breath and of what your body is doing, and we're going to use that for the last bit of the mudra when we change the position on the mudra. So downward dog can be modified in many ways, and I invite you to modify it any way that you need to, but I'm going to make the assumption that you have familiarity with this posture. So it's not to teach the technique of the posture, it's really to explore what the posture, how you can make the posture work for you in other ways besides just doing it. So we're going to curl the toes back in cat and cow, and we're going to take that expansion and we're going to inhale and lengthen here. So we'll stay here for just a moment, breathing here. The same thing applies. You're looking down at the tip of your nose, being aware of the third eye, then look down through your chin at your heart center and breathe there accordingly. Expand into the back. And then when you're ready, come into a neutral position, tap the toes out, and maybe slide back into child's pose and forward a little bit. And then finally, sitting back on the heels, we're going to bring the knees together. We're going to take the hands to the fingertips and drop the head in between the arms, finding ease here for a moment. Slide the hands down by your heels, let them stretch, stay in as small ball as you can. Breathe 3 times here. And then when you're ready, roll up again. So we're going to come into downward dog. I like to place my hands fairly differently than I would do in a handstand. So I use this one for a stretch. So in a handstand, my hands are going to be more narrow when I'm going into a handstand. And here I'm going to take my hands more wider than I normally do. They're just outside my shoulders. And I really want to feel the roots of my hands. So I'm going to feel the roots of my hands, and then I'm going to curl my toes back. I'm going to step into downward dog so that I can get my feet fairly flat on the floor. So I'm going to take a little narrower stance. My head here is pitched forward. I have the strength to hold me here, but I want to just let my ears engage between my triceps. Then I'm going to make those micro adjustments and pedal my feet just to feel comfortable here. And then we're going to settle into the beat. Grounding through the floor. Finding ease in the posture, but it's going to get more difficult. So you want to draw the thighs up into the hips, lift the kneecaps without hyperextending the legs. Push the heels down towards the floor, but allow them some breath and some space if you need to. Feel the hands firmly rooted. And we're going to work through those processes of NVC here. So I want you to observe the quality of your breath without attachment. Challenge of the posture. Where can you soften? You may encounter feelings that arise from this posture. My daughter used to say she hated this posture. Every time she took yoga from me, she would go to the bathroom whenever I was in downward dog for yoga class. So you may encounter feelings here associated with this. What are your needs surrounding these feelings? Do you need to make an adjustment? Give your body and your mind a request here to stay for as long as you're able to if you're not experiencing pain. As we deepen this posture, we're going to go ahead and focus on those breaths. Take your gaze towards the inner thigh, maybe through the ankles or up at the belly. Soften the gaze a little bit. Inhale to find length and decompression in the spine. Exhale to find your roots. Feel that strength that's holding you up. Work on lengthening the spaces between the inhalation and exhalation. See the progress. Observe the progress as you go from one breath to the next, making that space a little longer. Now your mind is telling you what your body was telling you. You don't want to be here, so find that feeling. See if you can address any needs. Change the dialogue. Give yourself support and nurture if you need to come out of the posture. You get to do that. So we're going to inhale, and if you want, come to your knees. We're going to come into a plank posture. It's going to feel a little bit of a relief. You can step the feet back if you need to. This is another posture I use for this, and it's a little bit more advanced, but just giving you that added benefit of strength training here. Holding this position too. And so in this posture too, we encounter the same thing. We encounter needing that stability in our heart and that equanimity in the pressing on the earth and the balance between the hands and the feet. We can feel our body respond to its needs, its shakes. It's beautiful. Lower the knees here if they're not already down. Point the toes and sit back in child's pose again. I'm going to invite you to put your knees together if you can here. We want to get in as small a ball as we can, and we're going to work on that breath we worked on at the beginning of class after we hung from the bar. So as you inhale, you want to feel expansion out through the back line of your body, particularly the heart. And as you exhale, you want to feel a release, and the belly kind of hollows out a little bit more so we get just a little bit more curve in our back in a safe way, controlled way. The head can be anywhere on the floor for this, whatever is comfortable. My neck is always an issue, so I like to adjust my head in whatever position I need to. We're trying to make a little ball. And at the same time, while we're doing that, we're also going to be increasing the length between the inhale and the exhale. The hands, again, are going to come out with the fingertips. I'm dropping my head here in between. And I'm going to work about 5 breaths here. At the end of 5 breaths, I'm going to bring my hands down to relax. I may make a micro adjustment, but I'm going to go with that same practice of expanding on the inhale, and on the exhale, finding deepening of the posture, deepening of rootedness. When you're ready, blink your eyes, place your hands on the earth to push yourself up. And we're going to stay in this kneeling on our rock position here. So you can pad up if you need to, or change to another position. This is for our last mudra, and then we'll do Shavasana. So the first time that we did the Kalesvara Mudra, we pressed the hands into the heart. Again, I said it was a reminder for me to remember to live and give from my heart. We pressed the thumbs to the third eye to remind us to stay calm and focused in the posture, and then we had some challenging postures after. The most challenging of all intent is when you are fully expanded and in positions of need. So, at least in my opinion, and that is my opinion. So I find that this might be the most challenging one to maintain a calmness too. And so we're going to do the same posture, but it's going to be overhead. And we're in this really challenging position, which is sitting on our heels. And it's not necessary to sit on the heels. I'm doing it for this practice. And again, it's a great way to move through all the positions that we do in yoga, all the postures, all the seated positions, and see where our knees are on that particular day. There are days when I practice that I practice on my back, and I would do the mudra on my back. And I invite you to infuse this mudra wherever you find comfort and need for it. So we're going to, again, middle finger and thumb, knuckles of the index finger, other hands curl. We make the mudra first. Sitting back on our heels, finding that length. We're going to touch the heart first. Take a breath here. Inhale. Focus, looking down at the heart. Knowing that we can always come to this position. We can always come here to find that heart center. Then I'm going to go ahead and take it to the third eye again. I'm going to let the elbows kind of relax down, but I'm going to keep my vertebrae stacked. Take a couple of breaths here as a reminder that we have tools at our disposal to help us when our mind feels agitated, when we need focus and concentration to get tasks done in challenging situations. And finally, we're going to take the hands overhead. So this one's a little bit more challenging. So I want you again to imagine that you're hanging from that bar. And I want you to bring that same ease that you get when you're just hanging from something with support of the ground. Pretending, basically. I want you to bring that same ease to the posture overhead. So I always have to come out of the posture and go back in it before I can lift it over my head. So another practice another day is just coming up into this posture gently and naturally. So I'm going to let my elbows go out a little bit. I want to keep the focus again at my chest and the back of my heart with my breath and expansion. I want to have it at the third eye, and I want to extend it out into the universe. And we'll be doing this together for 10 breaths. Hands go overhead. Stack the vertebrae, sit back on the heels, feel your rootedness. And again, 10 breaths here. get to your 10th breath, go ahead and release the hands gently and slowly. Let the hands rest on the lap, baby, and give mudra. And then again, hands in any position. Let your body give you any request it needs to. Maybe moving out of this posture into a seated position. Maybe those neck rolls again. And again, noticing the quality of your breath. And maybe if you're like me, that sense of tranquility and calmness comes with the practice. And it's a beautiful thing, along with the music. So we're going to come down to onto our back, and we're going to go into Shavasana here, but we're going to do a few stretches. So movement is really important to healing and also breath connection. So I invite you to still be mindful of the breath until we get to Shavasana, and then release any intention or expectation and allow yourself to completely and thoroughly sink into the posture. So coming back onto our back, we're going to bring the knees up to the chest here and hug them in. And here I'm going to bring my knees together again, and I'm going to hold them gently and flatten my tailbone along the floor and lengthen through the neck. Being mindful to find gentleness and ease and nourishment in this posture and not force anything. And then I'm going to extend the left leg out and take the right leg across my body. I'll open the arms wide, but I'm going to try not to push too hard on the floor here. I don't get much range here. It's like the bar. I don't have a lot of range in my hip, even though I'm really flexible. So I'm going to be really gentle here and give myself as much support as I need. I'm turning my head in the opposite direction on purpose. That is another technique to release the hips. Slowly return to center and repeat to the other side. Both knees come up. I'm going to hug them in, flatten my sacrum, lengthen through the spine, find ease and equilibrium here, some balance here. And then I'm going to extend the left leg out and the right leg out and take the left leg over, looking in the opposite direction. Gently back to center, bringing both knees up again. Hiking the nose towards the knees and maybe rocking a little bit side to side here. And then forward and back a few times, if your spine allows. So right before we come to Shavasana, we're going to plant the feet right by the rear and do a little heart opening so we can walk out into the world open and fresh into this new year with new possibilities and opportunities to take advantage of in the best ways possible. So the feet are close to the rear, flat on the floor. I'm reaching my hands down by my heels. I'm going to slide my elbows inward so that I can push up. Here I'm going to slide my shoulders forward a little bit more, maybe clasp if I wanted to, but I want to keep my forearms on the floor. So take whatever position feels good to you, and you can also slide a block under your sacrum here if you want to support it. And I'm going to bring the hands into that mudra, middle finger and thumb, index fingers bend, other fingers curl up. I'm going to gently press on my chest, and I'm going to stay here and breathe. When you get to 10 breaths, stretch the arms back towards the ankles and gently and slowly lift a little higher. Come up onto the balls of the feet and then gently roll down as a release on the exhale. Again, bringing the knees into the chest. Take any movement that feels good to you, maybe rocking side to side or forward and back. Coming back into center one more time, tucking. And then releasing the head down, opening the legs wide to take a happy baby, or Shavasana, and checking in, observing, feeling, sensing the need, and making a request or an offering to yourself in your highest good. So as you come into happy baby, you might find that it's more comfortable to have another position. The idea here is to feel fully supported and to use that support to open up and expand a little bit more with a warm body and a warm heart. Deep breath in, feel the fullest expression of your posture here. Inhale, and as you exhale, let that release. Go ahead and stretch the legs out. Bounce the legs up and down, maybe shimmy a little bit, side to side. Take the hands overhead like you're holding that bar. And just gently hold that bar and try to lift up just slightly with the legs relaxed here and lower. Stretch the fingers up, grab onto the bar, inhale, feel that beautiful decompression, exhale, round up, and release. One more time, stretch the fingers up, inhale. Grab a hold of the pull-up bar or the monkey bar, and exhale and pull up. Inhale to release, down, exhale to release the hands. Coming into Shavasana, letting the hands turn out. Releasing awareness of the breath, holding it, including it, but still aware of the room and the space of safety and healing here together. Feel the floor, the foundation. Let yourself be rooted in this. Feel the expansion of the breath as you inhale into the space that touches the top of your body and all around your body, the air. Allow yourself to be held in this space and just let go. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Keep the eyes closed. Keeping the back on the floor, head on the floor, and feeling that support come into a position that feels nurturing and solid. This might be the side. Perhaps if you need to, you can modify how you need to. Here I need the support on my back to let my heart be open. When you're ready, roll over onto one side and go ahead and make your way up into a seated position so we can close practice together. So if you're like me and you have New Year resolutions for physical exercise, you can practice this, if you're... I'm doing dance, so I'm doing like a lot of repetitions. So I've been practicing this mudra in my sessions where I'm doing something where I have to do it for a really long time to keep my upper body relaxed. And what I find is in these fixed positions like downward dog and maybe in bridge or in push-up like we did in class today, it requires me to be focused and concentrate my mind at the matter at hand, which is the work that we go out into the world to do, to make it a more beautiful place. So I hope that this helps you in your pursuit of any goal or opportunity that we have in 2022. And I invite you now to close practice with us together by rubbing the hands, feeling that beautiful heat that we create with our own body and its potential to do a lot of good in the world. As well as meet the world wherever it is in equanimity and compassion, bringing to the heart center. Close today with 3 breaths in and then 3 long satnams. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale. I invite you to take another breath in, bringing the hands to the third eye. And finally lifting them overhead for that last breath. Together, inhale. And then drawing down the midline of your body back to the heart center to exhale. And we close practice with 3 satnams, which means I am truth. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. And inhale to begin. Nam. 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 For each and all of you, we wish you many blessings and Sat Nam. Namaste. Thanks for joining us today. Fred says hi. Wow, look at all you people. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us.